경기장 도시형.
All right, so down here at the bottom right-hand corner of Antigua Shipyard, we have our red Protoss player hailing from Team Evil Geniuses. That is JYP. And his opponent in the top left-hand corner, being so mannered as always, is the Manner Zerg himself, our purple player, Liquid Sheth.
Yeah, that's right. And my biggest question for this game right now is Sheth going to go for that really fast 3-hatchery build that we've seen so many Zergs do lately against Protoss? It's really, really super popular. In fact, I actually spent most of the afternoon studying that particular opening just to kind of get a sense of a lot of the timings and things like that, and it is really, really good. A lot of the Zerg players have been doing that, going into a lot of roach upgrades as soon as they get the lair, and then setting themselves into a Spire-oriented late game. But just having the ability to produce a lot of roaches with decent upgrades at kind of the mid-game point of it too sets you up for going into things like Infestation Pit. It's just such a great style right now. So I wonder if Sheth is going to do it. It's very popular on Korea, but keep in mind this is the West. So we'll have to see if he follows suit or if he's got his own style to do on Antigua Shipyard. But that's what I'm most looking forward to seeing in this game, is what Sheth does.
You know, Sheth has been playing very, very strong lately, though. He's certainly stepped up his game recently. You know, he's kind of gone back under the radar a little bit. I realized it was the StarCraft offseason. We didn't see him pop up in a lot of big events or anything like that, though, terribly recently. So he's kind of gone back under the radar. But from the games that I've seen from him, though, whether in practice or in these sorts of leagues, they've been very, very convincing. So we're going to see what JYP can do to counter that. Looks like he's going to open with a Forge Fast Expand.
Yeah, well, Protoss players have actually been scrambling a little bit to try to counter things like that. One thing that does help, of course, is putting that pylon down at the natural to delay the hatchery. We've seen a lot of variants in other things that come from Protoss. We've seen a lot of Stargate, even a kind of resurgence of double Stargate against Zerg, which I thought was a little bit interesting. But again, you see a lot of the standard sort of gateway timings, blink 6-gate timings, things like that. And yeah, it looks like Sheth will go for that fast third hatchery there. Oh, but the probe will scout it right away, so that'll tell JYP pretty much exactly what is going on. I feel like getting that third hatch is a little bit dangerous to do, but we'll have to see how Sheth decides to try to defend it. Yeah, Nexus right away from JYP as well before cannon, no reason to get that.
It's just nice to play. I mean, we saw Startail Ace, you remember. He was forcing players left and right.
Certainly was.
Like, he wasn't letting them choose to go for a quick third. He was forcing them into it because of how disruptive his play was. And just being able to, you know, kind of set the game on his own terms really allowed him to have a almost complete mastery of the battlefield.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is I really, really wonder about putting down that third like this, the third quote-unquote before the second, because it still seems so risky to me to do in this matchup. I mean, we've seen some Zerg players be able to handle it just fine, but I kind of feel like it leaves you a little bit too vulnerable in the early game. I'd love to talk to some Zergs and kind of get their impressions on it as well. So maybe I'm going to have to do that this week here. But I don't know. I just feel it just feels kind of awkward to me. So I don't know. I like it when players like DRG, you know, they always go for the pylon first, then get the natural, then get the third. They never put down their third first, like we see Sheth do. So it's not a wrong move to do, but I feel like it's just a little bit too risky. And we'll see if that comes back to haunt Sheth or not. 2 very quick gas from JYP as well. So he's going to go into probably pretty quick warp gate research here, and then what will it be after that? We'll have to kind of wait and see.
Well, by the time his Cybernetics core finishes, he's going to have a few hundred gas saved up as well, so we'll have a lot of options at his disposal.
Could go for the Stargate right away, that's true.
A few Lings are trying to poke up, and they're going to make their way through. JYP blocking, and it looks like he is going to kill a good number of these Lings. They are able to sneak on through, at least one is, so he'll get a scout. Not really much that JYP can do about that, but
whoa, what is Sheth doing?
Killing a probe, apparently, so just being risky, but he does
kidding.
Snag himself a kill.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that Ling. You want to do what he's doing now and get into the main and see what we can see. So fast +1 ground weapons from JYP on the way. And Sheth, playing this pretty much like you would see a lot of the Zergs in Korea doing now. Doesn't get that probe. But what you see from a lot of players like DRG and ST and those guys, they'll drone up to about 44-ish, early 40s, and then get 2 gas. Now Sheth went up to the early 40s and got 1 gas. So not going quite as gas heavy. It's going to make him take a little bit longer to get things like Lair going, but could end up being okay. He's also producing a few more Lings than usual with that. but he will be able to take care of the Zealots, obviously, that are coming out here. And yeah, there's a fast Stargate from JYP. All right.
+1 still pretty far away at the moment. Sheth going to be on 44 workers here in just a second. Actually, a few more than that as he continues to add them on. +1 weapons is indeed coming up, as you've mentioned. This Overlord going to try and get another scout here in just a second. Hasn't been able to see everything quite yet. We'll see the time on those new gateways being added in. So 4 gates, Stargate +1. We've seen this happen a few times.
Yep, Void Ray on the way. So yeah, I think it is going to be, I mean, he may decide to change it, but I think it is going to be that +1 Zealot Void Ray push that we see a lot of Protoss players do right now. Generally, that is done on 4 gates, so it seems pretty likely. We'll have to see. Sheth, in the meantime, getting his Roach worn down, getting his Evo Chamber, getting Zergling speed. And does he have his lair yet? I didn't check to see. No lair quite yet. And I think that's why you see a lot of Zergs get 2 gas when they do this sort of thing. It's just so you can get the lair along with the rest of this and be building up gas to produce roaches a little bit later in the game. But Sheth's sticking on 1 gas for now, and he does know about the Void Ray.
Yes, he does, as a matter of fact. So we'll see how JYP is able to press this now that it looks like, let's see, is Sheth putting up anything other than Queens? No Spore Crawlers on the way yet, just Queens for defense. He is going to throw down a Spine Crawler, however. Looks like he has some sort of an inclination that these destructible rocks are going down, or that he'll get some pressure if that's the likely spot it's going to be.
Yeah, he's got those 2 spines coming up, so, well, Spine and a Spore, I guess I should say. So yeah, he should be okay. He does find the probe, too. That's actually a big deal. He wants to be able to prevent any sort of forward pylons from going down. Zergling speed is almost done as well. Gonna need to still micro this carefully. Those are +1 Zealots. They will 2-shot Zerglings. Oh no, and Sheth! If Sheth loses these Queens, that could be a bad start for him. And there's a Spore Crawler getting taken out. Zerglings trying to get back in time.
Yeah, they're actually flooding in from behind pretty well. It looks like Sheth will lose the Spine Crawler. We'll see if that was enough of a delay tactic, though, to allow these Zerglings to make their way in. And it looks like it is. Sheth running away, though, until he gets a few Roaches to reinforce. A couple of Spore Crawlers hitting the field at the same time as well, with Queens reinforcing. Fortunately, none of those Queens did go down, though.
Yeah, he did a great job of saving both of those Queens and killing the pylon. That's definitely always going to be a priority as well if you want to live through something like this. So it looks like the push is foiled for JYP. He's going home, getting the Robo, getting that +1 armor as well, and Sheth is kind of free to get some upgrades, and he should be able to push these Void Rays back pretty easily between the Queens and Spores that he has.
Well, there is a Spore Crawler up there, and Sheth actually counterattacking at the same time, or at least going to the front. However, these Void Rays are going to be charged up very, very quickly, but a nice job. He does bait them back into the Spore Crawler there with 3 Queens in support, and the Void Rays are going to have to run away.
Yep, that's right. Sheth was looking for a 3rd. He did not find it. JYP doesn't have one yet. And Sheth going for a Hydralisk then. Interesting. Okay, I wonder what he's planning with that then, because he could just be planning to go Roach Hydra. It's always very strong. But you don't see too many Zerg players getting Hydra Dens in general these days, unless it's unless it's a response like very heavy Stargate play. So I wonder what he's got in mind for that. I've got a feeling it's just going to be like a big, meaty Roach Hydra army.
Yeah, well, JYP does have a Robo up, but no Robo Bay on the way, so you know, this could work well for Sheth, though, especially if JYP sticks on those Immortals. They die very quickly to Hydras.
That is true. That is true. So it's not a bad choice at all. Sheth is about 30 supply ahead, but that's not too odd for this stage in the game. Normally, Zerg is a little bit ahead of pretty much every race at about this time. So nothing to worry about if you're the type of person that likes to stare at the supply and be like, oh no, he's 2 supply ahead.
That's
he must be about to win the game.
Leave!
There's people like that, man. They put everything into supply, and it's a big. Actually, it's getting to be a little bit of a big lead for Sheth, but still, 40 supply even at this stage isn't huge. Those sentries have a lot of force fields,
and it's all on cheap, relatively unupgraded units at the moment. Now, once these upgrades start hitting, once the Hydra numbers start going up, then it's a different story altogether. And oh, poor Queen. And she is not going to be able to get away. Sheth forced to cancel a couple of the creep teamers, but it doesn't matter because they're all dying anyway. There's the Guardian Shield. Sheth running some of his units around the back right now. That's a lot of sentries with a lot of energy on the field at the moment, but these Zealots really haven't gotten the best engagement quite yet. They haven't really killed all that much stuff.
Yeah, the force field's really helping out Sheth a lot, and that is going to force JYP back. Really big mistake there with those force fields. Sheth, though, trying to get in there, using the Overlords to try to draw some Stalker fire. He needs to focus down those sentries and the Immortals. Those are the big things he needs to get rid of fast. Although the Void Ray is still doing some damage here. Strong composition from JYP, but Sheth so far doing an okay job of pushing this back.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yes, there's a couple of charged up Void Rays in the air. One goes down, however, and a few more units are reinforcing as Sheth is now at about a 52 supply advantage, so he has not lost any of his structures or his economy. He's continuing to reinforce right now. JYP still does have a lot of stuff on the field, but that is a significantly less scary force than was there just a few seconds ago.
Oh, that poor Immortal. He came back to life only to be poked to death. Oh no, he barely gets away.
I return to serve.
It's like, I'll return again later when it's safer.
When I have recovered my heart and shields, I will return once again.
It's like, I did not return for this.
I want some frickin' support before I return to serve.
That's right.
All right.
I return to serve, but not under these circumstances.
All right, well, Sheth, he's pooping some creep out there to give him a little bit of a highway and taking the gold at the same time now.
Yep.
Spire is on the way, so he'll be on incredible tech here in just a second. And Void Ray caught out in the middle of the map, and he is certainly going to have to run away. Yep. Those Hydralisks are moving in slow motion after him to catch him.
I know. Oh, Void Ray turns, decides to just give its life for ire. And it has, and it wasn't really worth much, so hopefully the Void Ray pilot is happy with that. Bold move by Sheth moving out like this. JYP by no means is out of this game, and moving your Hydras that far off creep is never, well, almost never a safe thing to do. It's a strong army, but I feel like Sheth is taking a little bit of a risk here. See if it pays off.
That would be scarier if we saw some Colossi, but no such threat right now. JYP moving up with this largely gateway army, and Sheth just continuing to poke and prod. He's almost taken down that destructible debris, and of course, as soon as that falls, he'll have a nice little attack path to run up the side.
Yep. Oh, Sheth upgrading drops and getting a Baneling nest as well, so we could see some Baneling drops later in this game. This is a style that Sheth is playing that was popular maybe about, I would say, like 6 months ago or something like that in Korea. You know, you just get a really, really heavy Roach Hydra army, drop Banelings as well on top of them. It was very popular for a long time. It's still very good, but just not something that we see quite as often anymore. And I wonder if it's going to take JYP by surprise to see that.
Well, Sheth loves his drop play. I mean, I can remember back around December when he was running through Fight Club. He was actually our first champion and took out a few opponents there. And pretty much exclusively was doing drop play in every game with his very, very strong 3-base Roach play. And it worked out well for him, you know. Sometimes he overcommitted and it got him in trouble, but for the most part, worked out pretty well for him. We're going to see how it works now, of course.
I would love to see Sheth try to do some drops on mineral lines rather than just try to get it on the army. That's something that we haven't seen for a long time, and it's relatively easy for Protoss to pick up on and deny, but in a situation where your opponent isn't expecting it, you can get in there and kind of kill a whole mineral line if you're lucky. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me wanting to see probes get killed by Banelings, but I think it'd be a cool little option for Sheth to do. It doesn't look like he's interested in doing that right now, though.
No, well, JYP, he is sitting just on 3 bases right now. Sheth, of course, has established his 4th and 5th. Oh, he dusts around a couple of units out in the middle of the open. Loses one Infestor, almost a second. Oh, but look at that. Lings are just streaming through. Our first Colossus is on the way, but it's nowhere close yet. Yeah, and JYP's taking a lot of damage here.
Yes, he is, but Sheth not doing a ton of damage himself either, and the supply lead has shrank for him. I mean, he's still, okay, now he's about 40 supply ahead, but for a moment, he was only 20. So, I don't know. Sheth's got the gold. He's also got the top middle base, so he's in great shape as far as his economy goes. But, you know, again, JYP not out of it just yet. 3-base Protoss is still very, very strong. He's got Blink now. That's going to help quite a bit if he avoids the fungals, so we'll have to see how it does. Attacking up this ramp is dangerous.
All right, well, a couple of fungals pinning some units in place. There's the force fields after, but the Groove Spine Hydralisks are able to take out the front line of units pretty effectively. However, Sheth is losing some very high-cost units in the process. Lost all of his Corruptors there. There is a Colossus now in the mix, a second on the way along with +3 weapons.
He dropped a couple Banelings on there, but it didn't do a whole lot of damage. You need to be able to drop a lot of Banelings to be able to really make that worth it. And he only had about maybe 3 or 4 Overlords worth that. JYP still some good force fields here. Still a very tense situation. Looks like Sheth is probably going to lose his gold.
Yeah, could very well. We'll see if he wants to defend or just pull back to that other fort that he's established. JYP is actually taking his gold at the same time. Sheth actually swinging around the side to the Zelnaga Tower.
Setting up a flank.
Yeah, we'll see if he can attack from the high ground or if JYP is going to pull back in time. He leaves the hatchery alive, now comes back for another hit, and then decides to head up towards the 4th.
Yep, that's right. And this is going to leave him very vulnerable to a counterattack, but he needs to do something. He needs to get back in this game. He knows how far Sheth is ahead economically. He's going to need to also cancel this Nexus. Here he does.
Yes, he is, and it looks like he's just going to try and take this on head-on. A couple of Fungal Growths pinning units in place. Zerglings are wrapping around from the edge as well. Even drones getting in on the action as the Colossi are actually admittedly falling pretty quickly. JYP only with a couple of units remaining. This ended up working out pretty well for Sheth as he's surrounding these units. However, he's losing some very, very high-cost units. The Infestors going down pretty quickly, but overall, he neutralizes the Colossi and does a pretty good job of taking out JYP's forces. He's just got to deal with this massive Blink Stalker army afterwards.
Yeah, not the best engagement for Sheth there. He did trade very efficiently with JYP. JYP was left with a lot of Stalkers left over. Sheth still in the lead, but that didn't go too well for him, that particular attack. So he needs to be careful about his follow-up. This is kind of the point in the game where we see a lot of Zerg players fall behind and eventually lose. You know, they get a little bit too aggressive. They have a couple fights where they don't trade efficiently, and suddenly it's like, oh great, now I'm even. And then it's very, very tough for them. But Sheth, yeah, just kind of controlling that gold, not trying to push or anything like that just yet. And Sheth is just playing so well this game, I've got to say.
Thank you. All right, ping
Hey,
the
look,
map there.
some units.
Wow, it's a Hydralisk with that
I
as
bet
well.
something happened there and we probably missed it.
Oh, let's see.
I
Is
know.
there a couple of pylons?
Probably
Could have.
a Zealot Warping.
Yeah, something like that. Let's actually take a look at the workers killed, though. Nothing has really gone down in
Not a
mass
whole lot,
yet.
no.
+3 weapons coming up. Thermal Lance actually has not been started this entire time, or at least it hasn't finished. So it's coming up right now. And Sheth, he's about ready to finish up his Greater Spire. He's got quite a few Corruptors out there as well, and he did just finish up 8 Infestors. It looks like JYP wants to press the issue, but that's just the time the Infestors catch up. So we'll see if Sheth can power through this. He's not lost any of those Infestors quite yet. Actually deals with the Colossi pretty quickly, pinning down a few of those Stalkers as well.
Nice.
And does force JYP back once again.
Yeah, the best thing about that whole engagement right there is how Sheth did not lose his Infestors. I'm so happy we've reached a point in StarCraft 2 where Infestors are not headbutting into the units of the enemy army. That was like so painful to see, and it happened for so long. Another little warp in here, but Sheth is more than prepared.
Yep.
JYP, though, still pretty close in supply.
Really, really trying to establish this gold.
Yeah, he needs it, too. If he doesn't get that gold up soon, he's in serious trouble.
Well, he's only got 1 Colossus right now. Sheth is sitting on 5 Broodlords, which did just pop up.
Yep.
He's got +1 air weapons done as well, so Broodling Strike is a little bit stronger, and of course all of his ground units are on 2-2 as well, if I'm right. Yes, they are. So the Broodlings themselves are actually going to be pretty powerful as well. JYP, on the other hand, he's got mining over at the 3rd, but that's it.
Yep. Yeah, that's why he needs that gold. He needs it like he needs oxygen or whatever it is Zealots breathe. I suppose they can kind of breathe like anything. They don't wear helmets or anything like that. And Siege Up on the gold canceled again, and that is pretty bad for JYP.
Yeah, canceling that base again means, it's going to be a tough time for him to reproduce this army. A couple more Corruptors being thrown in. Now Sheth looks like he wants to pursue, throws down a Fungal Growth, hitting quite a few units. There's still a number of sentries up, but basically all of their energy is gone, and Sheth is just going to move in with these Broodlords at his back.
Yeah, he's got a good amount of Banelings in there as well. Hydras and Infestors. What a crazy composition from Sheth. There are Templar out, but I don't think Storm is done quite yet. And even if it is, he doesn't have the energy.
Oh.
That is it. Sheth taking out the rest of the army, and JYP
Wow.
GG's. Liquid Sheth going up 2-0 against EG.